Alright, welcome to another fun-filled project. In this one we're going to go over how to make more of an impressionistic painting rather than the traditional oil look. For me, impressionistic paintings are more about capturing a moment and an emotion, which I personally feel is why they name them impressionistic, because it's giving you an impression. That's just my personal take, but I'll take it. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our base image right here. So I picked a nice little intimate moment. She's looking down, she's thinking about something. So what we're going to do is, Impressionism isn't about detail, it's about shape and form and color. So for this particular one, since she's looking down, I think it's kind of a little more intimate moment, we're going to go with a warmer color palette. So what I've done here is I've selected some textures, and I've been collecting textures over the years. Plenty of websites out there for doing that. DeviantArt is one. If you Google textures, images, you'll find a ton of websites that have textures all over the place you can download. You can either buy them, or some people do post them for free. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our texture, we're going to go ahead and move it over onto our canvas. We're going to Control T to transform, bring it down to fill up the entire area. And we're going to set our blend mode to one of the overlays. So we're going to take a look at them, see which one looks the best. Overlay looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to be looking for is I'm going to be looking for where these colors are laying on our subject. Now I don't have to be overly picky because we're going to be painting over it, so I can overlook the cracks here because I'm going to be blending those together. What I want to see is I want to see the variations in the tonality on our subject. And since we're doing with a blend mode, it's going to be adding or subtracting lightness and darkness based off of the shading on our original. So I'm going to bring this in, and with this one what I'm going to do is I don't want the hand to be the same tone as the arm, because that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for me to blend out later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a layer mask. Select my brush tool, make sure it's on regular brush instead of mixer brush. Use the bracket keys and make it a little bit bigger here. X to paint out. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to paint out these fingers. I'm about 60% opacity. I don't want to completely eliminate it and make it a different one. I do want to have a little bit in there so that the color is going to have a little continuity to it. So I can get rid of these. And I can add in a different but related color. We still got those browns and everything, we just have a lot less red. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Okay, I'm going to look at how it looks like with my hand. Again, overlay, it looks pretty good, so we're going to go ahead and transform it so it's a little more fitting onto the hand here. That looks good, and then we can go ahead and add a layer mask onto that with the brush tool. Go a little bigger brush. Get rid of where we don't want them to be blending together as much. Now she does have several tattoos. I'm not really concerned about it. When I'm blending over, we'll be able to fix that. The one thing about impressionistic paintings is tattoos don't translate very well to them because it's not about detail, and tattoos are all about details. We're going to look at these a little bit here, and what I want is I want a contrasting color for the background. And we can go with this cold purple here. Come down and transform. We'll go ahead and fill that up. Set our blend mode, see what looks good. Hard light looks good, but what I want I don't want it on her. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and turn that one off. Come down to this one with a brush tool pretty big. We're going to come up here and eliminate a lot of this background. And this is a quick elimination. I'm not being overly precise about it because this is going to be a painting. Go a little smaller brush, come down here, we'll clean up that area right there. Get a little bit closer to our subject. There we go. And then we can turn that one on. Say, ooh, now we can look, see what it looks like without anything behind it. And here, hard light still looks pretty good. But what I can do now is I can now take this, if I hold the Alt key down and drag that up there, I can transfer that same mask to it, and if I hit Control I can invert it. No. Make sure I'm selected the right one. Control I invert it, so that I don't have to go and mask her out of the background. I can just make it so that those two masks line up. Look at that. I like this right here. Look good right up in there. So we're going to go ahead, take that, transform it, right click. We're going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise to put that area where I want it to be. Right up there, transform it. Come up here, Alt, copy, don't copy the layer. Copy the mask, select that mask, paint out the areas where I don't want it to be affecting those colors for me to come through. Now what we're doing right now is just a quick put in of these colors. Once we start doing the painting process, we can go back and add and subtract some out as needed. But what this does is this gets us started on the process. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new layer, Control Shift N, new layer. We're going to name it Paint, because that's what we're going to do to it. We'll put it above top, come over, select our mixer brush, make sure we have sample all layers selected, that it's going to be not holding paint into the brush, and that it will be cleaning the brush. What we're going to do is we're going to start painting now. And for this you're going to want to use your tablet tool, because doing it with a mouse is a little trickier. So I'm going to come in with a little medium-sized brush. What we're going to do is we're going to start blending these through. And we're going to be painting using our model as a guideline, but kind of swirling it through. And this is where everything becomes a little personalized in terms of how you handle the brush, how you personally move it around, the pressure that you apply and everything. So I know two people will ever have the same looking type images, and your personal taste will also determine how you pull the colors into each other. So what I'm doing, if you notice, is I'm going around and I'm getting the bigger areas. I'm staying away from fine detail for the moment being. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to start to fill in my form and shape. So I can bring that red into where the cheekbones should be. Put the little yellow on the top of them. And if you want to, when you're doing this, you can get very precise in placing where the colors of the textures want to be. I'm a little less precise, mainly because I kind of like how it feels, and I know that I can go back at any time, add some color in, and then blend it through to make sure that everything becomes exactly where I want it to be. And like I said, I'm going to go over these tattoos, not going to even attempt to keep them. And the reason being is because Expressionism just doesn't lend itself to tattoos very well. So you see I'm coming in here, I'm going to be blending everything through. And I will continue to do this for everything in here. So I'm not going to make you sit there and watch me do all of this. It can be very tedious. We got the shadow coming in here. I'm going to stay away from the jawline because I'm going to put that in separately later so that I make sure I have a good enough definition between the jawline and the neck so that it looks like there was a purposeful brush stroke. I'm doing good with words today. So as you can see, I'm going to come in here now. When I get down to the outfit, I would come in here, I'd make sure that I don't have any strong lines. And I'm doing a lot of short little swirly strokes. Even though it looks like I'm just swirling around, I'm doing a lot of tapping, picking up as I move so that I can swirl everything around appropriately. It's a lot of short little strokes for the impressionistic look. So I can bring in that color up there. Where I got it fold, I can make sure that I put some of that color all the way through the fold and crease. Now with the hair, I will come in and I will do longer strokes. And that's just my personal preference. A lot of the impressionistic painters really didn't deal with women who had long hair, but I love the lines that long hair gives you. So I do, and I picture that they would use big long strokes for long hair to get the flowing motion. Nice thing about Impressionism, there really isn't any hard set rules, it's your impression. And my impression says long strokes for long hair to give me those strong lines that frame. Alright, now I'm jumping around a lot because I do want to show you the different techniques for mixing all of these up before I take a break and work on everything and come back to the next step. So I'll go with a bigger brush on the background. Maybe not that big, a little bit smaller. There we go. And what I'll do is I will come in here and I will do a lot of little motion, little, as Bob Ross would say, making happy little clouds kind of look like. So we're coming in here and I'm not doing big broad strokes, I'm doing series of smaller strokes. And it is possible, if you have a slower computer, to get ahead of yourself on here with these big brushes. So you do kind of don't want to go too much because the brush might slow down, you can be painting and you not realize that it's not painting and then you're getting all frustrated. Don't get all frustrated, just grab something to drink real quick, and when you come back, the computer will probably have caught up to everything that it's trying to catch up to. But if you see what I did put darker colors around the hair. And that way, we'll get closer to the hair here, we'll get a little smaller brush. And that way what I can do is, when I move these through, it allows me to build up that natural contrast between the brightness of her hair. Now if she had dark hair, I'd go with a brighter color. And that lets us show a little bit more better framing. So these are the basic techniques of dealing with creating the start of an impressionistic painting. We're going to do a lot of small little strokes unless you got long hair. Or if you want to do short little strokes when you have long hair, you can do that too. That's up to you. It's your style. I'm just showing you the techniques, the tools on what they do. How you use the tools is up to you. You get to develop your own style. That's the best thing about art, is doesn't matter if anybody else likes it, as long as you like it, well, then you're good to go. Alright, so what I've done is, as you can see, I've started building up the foundation of a impressionistic painting. I'm going to be waiting until the end to do the eyebrows, eyelashes, ears. I can come in here, and I do, when I paint, I do a lot of jumping around. And the reason I do a lot of jumping around is because I want to distract my eyes as I'm painting. I do know people who work one area, get it perfect, go to the next area. My brain just doesn't work that way. If your brain works that way, do it that way. My brain will get, if I'm working on something, it will get locked up, and I'm not going to see things that I might have missed. So when I come back, I can say, oh, yeah, I missed that spot. It doesn't look right. I would not have seen that if I hadn't distracted my eyes looking at something else for a little while. So my personal editing style when doing stuff like this is a lot of back and forth between locations so that I can get my eye clear, my brain not focus on something, comes back, I get my first impression, and then I act off of that impression. So what we're going to do now is, like I said, I am not going to make you sit here for the next few hours watching me do this. It can go pretty quickly when you're rough and when you start to get into the detail work, especially when we're in shadows areas and creating flow patterns in fabric down here. It can get a little detail heavy. I've showed you how to get into and doing some details, making sure that, like I said, we got this coming through here onto the cheekbone where the shadow should be. See, I'm seeing some spots up here that I missed. You missed that little spot right there. So by coming in here and blending everything through, going back and forth, I'm going to see everything. So, because I'm not going to show you, make you sit here and watch this while I do the entire image. It's going to take me a while. So this is the end of part 1. Join us for the next part. We'll talk about putting in the complementary colors and accents and everything that give the Impressionistics their real kind of flavor. So, grab your image, grab some textures, get working on this, and join me for the next part. Thank you.